Hello and welcome to this video clip on the regulatory process for adopting reliability standards prepared by the Regulatory Department of the Régie de l'Énergie. This presentation has been broken down into 4 parts. First, a brief review of the context of the reliability regime, then the filing process for standards adoption, followed by the Régie de l'Énergie's review process, and in closing, a few useful links on the Reliability Coordinator's website. Context of the reliability regime. In the context of the reliability regime, the Régie de l'Énergie ensures that electric power transmission in Quebec is carried out according to the reliability standards it adopts under Section 85.2 of the Act respecting the Régie de l'Énergie. Reliability standards files can also be submitted to the Régie for adoption under Sections 85.6, 85.7, and 85.13 of the Act respecting the Régie de l'Énergie. The Act respecting the Régie de l'Énergie is available on the Régie's website in the Regulatory Framework section. The reliability regime in Quebec involves 3 main organizations. First, there is the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, the NERC. The NERC develops reliability standards. These standards are then submitted to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or the FERC, for approval or information to find their application in the United States. Then there is Hydro-Québec, through its Direction Principale Contrôle des Mouvements d'énergie et Exploitation du Réseau, namely Senior Directorate, System Control and Operation, designated by the Régie de l'Énergie as the Reliability Coordinator for Quebec. The coordinator is responsible in particular for submitting reliability standards to the Régie for adoption to ensure the reliable operation of the Quebec electric power transmission system by all registered entities. Lastly, there is the Régie de l'Énergie. The mandate of the Régie is to ensure that electric power transmission in Quebec is carried out according to the reliability standard it adopts. To fulfill this mandate, the Régie has in particular the following powers: to mandate an organization to develop and monitor the application of reliability standards and advise it on this topic, to designate the reliability coordinator, to adopt the reliability standards applicable in Quebec, and finally, to impose sanctions when a standard is violated. Filing process for standards adoption. The process for submitting a standard file for adoption comprises 2 main steps. The first step is a public consultation with registered entities and initiated by the coordinator. This consultation is held prior submitting to the proposed reliability standards to the Régie de l'Énergie. During this consultation, the coordinator presents the reliability standards as well as the preliminary assessment of relevance and impacts. This is the first opportunity for registered entities to participate in the standards adoption filing by providing their own impacts assessment of these standards. The Régie de l'Énergie adopted the consultation process prior to filing reliability standards in its decision D-2011-139. The process is subject to change over time. In the second step, following the public consultation and in preparation for fully submitting an adoption file to the Régie, the coordinator has the original English text of the NERC reliability standards translated in French by a certified translator, completes the Quebec appendix, submits the summary of comments received during the public consultation, and, as applicable, submits the changes and/or additions to the glossary and/or to the register. There are 2 main parts in a reliability standard. the text of the standard itself, which is almost completely taken from the original NERD text and includes the main sections illustrated in the slide. Also, there is the Quebec Appendix, which is used to codify provisions specific to the application of standards in Quebec. Régie de l'énergie review process. In its review process, the Régie de l'énergie considers the standard's relevance and impact submitted by the reliability coordinator and the registered entities during the public consultation. This is why the Régie de l'énergie strongly invites the entities to participate in the prior consultation process and to provide their best impact assessment of the submitted standards. The first step in the Régie de l'énergie review process is initiating the file, which involves opening a reliability standards file following the submission by the coordinator. This is what a reliability standards file looks like on the Régie's website once it is open. The information is available only in French. In the header, we find the file number, the applicant identification, the description of the application, and the list of exhibits file. The documents submitted in the file can be found under different tabs, namely Tab A, All documents from the Régie, Tab B, All documents from the Reliability Coordinator, Tab C, All documents from interveners authorized to participate in the file, and finally Tab D, All documents from observers who, without being interveners, may submit written observation. The second step in the Régie de l'énergie review process consists in publishing the public notice. The public notice informs registered entities of the application to adopt standard submitted by the Reliability Coordinator and of the process that the Régie plans to use to review the submission. In the public notice, the Régie asks interested parties to submit their comments regarding the Reliability Coordinator's application. The public notice is published on the Régie's website as well as on the Reliability Coordinator's website. The third step is the file schedule, which is generally distributed in a procedural decision or, exceptionally, by letter from the Régie Secretariat. The main step in a reliability standards file schedule are public notice, motion to intervene or to comment on the file, with the option for registered entities to participate in the file. Interveners are recognized through a decision from the Régie, generally in the procedural decision. Comments on motions to intervene, requests for information, RFI, responses to RFI, working session, filing of brief, and hearing or written arguments. Note that depending on the complexity and scope of files, these steps are not all systematically found in the processing schedule. Each file is different, and some files may be processed more quickly than others. To clarify certain aspects or further develop the evidence or documentation, the Régie may require the Reliability Coordinator to obtain additional information in the form of a request for information, a working session, or a hearing. The Régie may use one or more of these processes as part of a single file. A request for information is a process whereby the evidence or documentation submitted can be questioned to obtain further information. Note that the Régie and the coordinator may also address RFI to interveners. As well, interveners in the file may equally address RFI to the coordinator. The coordinator and/or interveners must respond in writing to the RFI within the timeframe prescribed by the Régie. The working session can be held in person or virtually. It is a technical meeting with participants for the purposes of reviewing an application. The participants invited to attend them are generally the regulatory team assigned by the Régie, the coordinators team, and as applicable, interveners in the file. A hearing may also be held in person or virtually. Hearings are a process by which the Régie reviews an application. They are held orally, in writing, or by any means using information technology. The participants invited to attend them are generally the teams assigned by the Régie, the reliability coordinators team, as applicable expert witnesses authorized by the Régie, lawyers for the Régie, for the reliability coordinators, and as applicable for the interveners, the panel designated in the file, and as applicable, interveners. At the end of the hearing, the transcript reflecting the discussions between participants at the hearing are made available on the Régie website in a corresponding file. Once the file review is complete, the Régie renders its decision on the merits concerning the adoption of standards, in which it determines specifically the adoption and effective dates of the standards, and asks the coordinator to submit the text of the standards in accordance with the decision. Once the texts are submitted by the coordinator, the Régie decides whether the application of the reliability standards is compliant. The document adopted, i.e. the reliability standards, the glossary, and the register, are then made available on the Régie de l'Énergie website. To access the documents adopted by the Régie, first go to the Régie website at www.regie-energy.qc.ca. To view this site in English, click on English. Under the Hearings and Decision tab, select Electric Power Transmission Reliability Standards Compliance Monitoring and Enforcement. This page contains documents adopted by the Régie, namely the Register of Entities Subject to Reliability Standards, Reliability Standards, and the glossary of terms and acronyms used in reliability standards. Here are two useful links on the Reliability Coordinator's website for keeping registered entities up to date on all public consultations underway and on the adoption file submitted to the Régie. To manually access these two hyperlinks, in your web browser type hydroquebec.com. To see the content in English, click on English at the top of your screen. Still at the top of your screen, click on All Sites. Then scroll down to section labeled Specialized Groups, and then click Reliability Coordinator for Quebec. For information on public hearings, under Documentation tab, select Public Consultation of Entities. For information on adoption files submitted to the Régie, under Documentation tab, select Application to Régie de l'Énergie. This is the end of this presentation. The Régie de l'Énergie thanks you for your attention.